Hi, today I'm in Barcelona. I'm Matthew from NEOS, new operating system for Poland. This is a social movement and a technological company and the cooperative as well, prepared specifically to recreate social society as in Poland and rebuild the elite class and build our own technology and software to be a sovereign country again. And today I am visiting the Spain because from one side because of the holiday we have with my wife, but secondly to find out how is this coronavirus outbreak and how the society react, if there are any social movements or opposite parties who are seeing the same as we are seeing in Poland, that this is a big hoax, this whole corona, and this is made specifically for financial class to gain profit on the debts we are all drowning in. So this is horrible situation where we cannot longer trust the media and all political class, and people from the bottom up need to organize themselves in the civil society and a creative class to find out what is the way to get out from this crisis or crisis, because the whole system is seeming to collapse or being imploding, and because of people don't want to accept this ruling elites and the paradigm of the capitalism, neoliberalism, and the system of democracy, which is only the facade for the corporation and big banksters to run the world by giving them every country alone and buying and corrupting all politicians in profit in favor of their corporation and fund. And I see it all over the Europe that it's going the same. For example, with 5G, we saw in Poland that the concerns like Orange, T-Mobile and others was forcing all government officials to accept the legislation which is so beneficial for these corporations, and it's so against the basic laws and the constitutions, and in the daytime they agreed for such terrible terms for the country, for the society, that it cannot be other. There is no other explanation that there is such a big corruption behind, or they are like maybe in the strains of embassy of US, or there is very important political and military reason to, for example, accept these terms, but mostly it's only about lobbying from telecommunication companies, and all regulatory bodies are systemically corrupted. Last weeks we have announcement from TSUE that the government of Poland is breaking the rule by changing the law to leave the office of the director of institution which regulates telecommunication in Poland, and give them the position to guy from the main party, which is Prawo and Sprawiedliwość. And we have like this situation, like every time something big is happening, that the government is crashing and destroying all social rules and good practices for its own interest or interest of banks and corporations. We saw that when GMO was implemented. We saw that when the people was in hundreds of thousands enslaved in credits called Swiss credits, because of it was hoax and banditry practice to correlate the sum of debt to the foreign currency, but it was only virtual and the correlation was only on the paper because money never came from francs. The banks didn't bought francs, but they expect people to return all capital with interest based on the course and of franc, which was, like, as you know, growing like twice from the 2008. So like hundreds of thousands of people are in the situation that they are making bankruptcy, and all families are destroyed because of this hoax and banditry of banksters in Poland. But the whole government is so corrupted and so connected with the banking class and banking elite that they like put it under the shelves and no one talks about it. Even in the last campaign, President Andrzej Duda promised to hundreds of thousands of families in Poland during his campaign that he knows that this is banditry and this is the crime from the banker class, this all franc credit scheme. But after he won, he left this social group to the banksters, and now he won this election again. The guy who accepts the 5G legislation, which is breaking all the rules, the guy who signed after bringing American soldiers to the Polish soil and Polish land to protect their resources, because I believe that Americans think that the Poland is colony of United States and they can gain profits from our land, from our water, our wood, and especially they want to profit from our underground resources, because Poland is the country where we have almost the biggest treasure under the ground from each country in Europe. We have the biggest mining industry, we have of course coal, but we also have titanium, we have copper, we have silver, gold, and many other precious metals, which are sold like licenses and concession are sold to Canadian, American, and other companies for like almost nothing. And we saw last couple months the legislation process to change law like 5 years after it was accepted by the parliament, to the favor of a foreign corporation called Miedzi Cooper Corporation, and this change cost us as a country, as citizens of Poland, more than $300 billion. And we saw that what is going on, and we was trying to alarm the media and the public opinion and politics from all over parties, but no one was interested, because whole establishment of the media and parties like the main party Prawo and Sprawiedliwość and PO, Platforma Obywatelska, they are all the same. We call it like poppies, that we have only one ruling party from 30 years the same. And more of that, we believe that they are protected and established by the foreign country, which is of course United States. And now the main party is cooperating the most with the Chabad Lubavitch sect and Israeli diaspora, and we have like officers of Mossad cooperating and advising to our ministers and prime ministers. We see it on everyday basis, and no one, everyone is trying to keep it silent and pretend that nothing is wrong with that we have like Mossad officers advising to our government, and for example the prime minister is sending his child to the Jewish school as well. So it's very terrible situation where Poland is ruled from somewhere else, not from the Poland land. So we are all colony of United States or the we are ruled by the Jewish party and diaspora from Israel. This is very terrible situation for all Poles who want to be independent, because we suffer the most during the Second War and other wars, where we was completely splitten between different countries. But deeply in our hearts and in our souls, we are dreaming of independence and being ruled as a sovereign country. And this is why I am starting and building this movement called NEOS, so a new operating system, to give this creative class and young people in Poland understanding about that the systemic corruption we are facing today is similar to having a computer with very old, very virused computer software, like for example Windows 99, like Windows Millennium, for example, it was the worst, or Vista. And we need a new system to rule the country and to operate our industries and our economy. But if you want it to be really us, and if you want to be a severe country, we need to build it by our own, because if we rely on somebody else's infrastructure, for example 5G or the internet or databases, we always can be switched off. For example, as Iran is from many years bullied by the United States through different financial institutions and trade limits, and the same will happen with the Microsoft, Google and Facebook, that it will be used not only to spy and analyze society and our economy, but as well to keep our balls in hand, let's say, by giving, for example, like last week, the hackers possibility to publish on Twitter accounts of the most powerful people in the planet. And imagine what can happen if we rely on such a software in the most important matters like war and peace. So we need to have this fragile infrastructure managed and built by our own companies in European Union, in Poland. This is very, very important, and this is the creative class and young, well-educated people from Polish diaspora who need to focus on doing so, because if we will not have our own social platform and our own banking, we will be forced to elect the same people again and again by false media propaganda and large disinformation about the politics, about economy and how world works in general. Because from 30 years the picture of the world is completely false in people's head in Poland. We are brainwashed by terrible propaganda in all movies, all news agencies, even Christian one. They are building the statues for people who are traders and agents of other countries' interests, like for example President Lech Wałęsa. He is a guy who was cooperating with the regime and he betrayed all social movement of Solidarność, but still people are naming the streets after the name, and he's presenting themselves in German and United States media as a national hero. And all over, I can repeat the scheme all over and over, because every president and almost every important person from the intellectual sphere and political sphere is part of the same establishment from 30 years. And if someone else from the outside is trying to propose something new, some initiative, some project, it will be stolen by this establishment, and people are, dying, people are missing. Sometimes we have like important inventors without money, their invention stole by the apparatus of the government. Like, for example, Optimus company, one of the biggest computer company in Poland, was destroyed by tax office on the false pretexts. And we have like faster and better computers in Wrocław, invented by Mr. Krupiński, and it was as well destroyed by foreign companies. And it's all over and over again, and our government is cooperating with those gangsters and corporations into destroying Polish innovative class and Polish entrepreneurs. And this is the fact, this is the reality. It's very hard to face today, because people are trying to believe that maybe one party or another will change it. And people mostly believe that there is some alternative in our political class, because they are so much afraid to see that everybody from the establishment is from the same sheikh. So nowadays Polish civil society and creative class is facing a big challenge, and we need to take more responsibility for the future of our country. And I believe that it's the same for other countries in Europe and in all over the world the same. Or we will go and trust big corporations like Visa, MasterCard, Facebook, Google, and they will rule the world, or we will believe in ourselves, in our own smaller companies, which will give us at least independence and maybe prosperous life, if we will manage to integrate our economy, our industries in one operating system, which will be accessible for all citizens, and independent politicians and experts to cooperate in the meritocracy, like on the GitHub forum, and all views and all opinions will be visual, that there will be Hyde Park for managing the public affairs, and thousands, hundreds of thousands people will involve, because I believe that young people, creative people will involve themselves creatively in managing and building local economies, cities, smart cities, which I am expert in, and I believe it's very healthy, and it will give everybody a lot of satisfaction. And in economic perspective, it's better to manage your own city and behave as a whole, as an investor and platform for innovation, than to keep like foreign banks to decide if we want to invest in this building, this technology, or other technology. It's better to have our own banks in the cities, and innovative banks to support the key strategic innovation, as we are trying to build the new innovative bank to finance the most advantageous technologies like hyperloops, like new smart cities. But we need to build it from the scratch. So the politics is very important in it, because now currently the financial system is changing. For example, Chinese are going into Iran with more than $400 billion investment. They want to cooperate in financial sphere. So there are very direct and game-changing partnerships in different industries, and Europe needs to choose as well. No matter if it's Spain or it's Berlin or Warsaw, we should choose if we want to be occupied by United States and their financial system, CIA and all social media, or we will trust our own engineers and expertise, and we will build our own operating systems, maybe cooperating with the Asians, because they have most advanced technology and a big market, so we can have advantage of joining our value chains with, for example, Chinese, Singaporeans and other smart nations. So this is my proposal. I am Mateusz Jarosiewicz from Poland, from New Social Movement and Cooperative called NeoS, new operating system. See ya again, bye.